Hey class, welcome to Unit 2. So in Unit 2, we're going to learn about different types of technical drawing styles. So we're actually going to do a lot of hand sketches in this one. It's going to be going beyond the concept sketch, and instead we're going to learn about isometric sketches, oblique style sketches, as well as 1 and 2 point perspective, and multi-view drawing sketches. So before we can start any of those, I want to make sure everyone understands the foundation of the terminology we're going to be using. So I'm going to teach you about the line conventions. I'm going to be saying a lot of these words, and I want to make sure everyone understands and is on the same page. Okay, so let's get going. So when we say line conventions, we mean the act of varying a style or thickness or look of a line in order to graphically communicate a message about the drawing. So let's go ahead and start off. So when I say something like construction line, when we were dealing with the concept sketches, I asked everyone to go ahead and draw a box in which something like the stapler or tape dispenser was going to fit inside. I asked you to use construction lines, and now I'm bringing it up again because what construction lines are lightly drawn lines to guide the drawing. It might be to help with the shape, it might be to help with the size, whatever it is, they're very light lines that could be done with pen or pencil, depending, but it follows along that it's going to be light and it's going to be used to guide the drawing. Those are different, though, than the object lines. The object lines, you'll notice the arrow pointing are very dark and thick, and it should be pretty obvious, but they're meant to go ahead and outline the object. So they're lines that outline the object. Okay, so everything around this, that's very dark is the object line. The hidden line, we're going to see this a lot with objects that have holes or maybe some kind of detail that's hidden behind the object. But hidden lines are dashed lines, so that's one thing you should know. And they're dashed lines to show that there's something behind it. So what this is trying to tell me right here, where the hidden lines are pointing, is that if I were just looking at this object from the front view, I wouldn't actually know that there's a hole going through it. So the hidden lines are telling you, hey, be aware, there's some kind of hole or some kind of hidden detail going on behind here. So we're going to use dashed lines to go ahead and demonstrate that. To add on to that, let me use my pen for this one. This is the center line. It's done with a one short line and then a long line. That means that that's the center of the hole. That's different than the hidden lines that are going next to it. Whoops. Oh, those are terrible dashes, but just take my word for it. Those dashes are meant to be the hidden lines. That's saying, hey, this is the hole. These long lines that actually go through the object and actually poke out are called the center lines. So let me erase my screen. I guess I'll rely on my eraser, sorry. There we go. But yeah, those are center lines. So next type of line is our section line. So you'll notice that with this drawing, they use this, these diagonal lines. That's meant to represent actually that this object, in order to understand maybe what the material is made of or what's going on inside of it, they actually cut out and got to the center of the object. So what this line is saying is that someone actually cut into the object, and it gives you details about what's going on inside. So where this squiggly line is going, that's actually the start of the bite that someone took out of this, whatever piece this is. And now we can see the inside of it. So that's what the diagonal lines are trying to tell me. That short break line is showing me where the section starts or ends, however you want to think about it. So it's just a small little squiggly line saying, hey, this part, this is what I'm cutting out of the objects. So dimension lines and actually the next one, extension lines, are often going to get confused. So let me bring up my pen. The dimension line is just this line that's got the dimension on it. It's called the dimension line because it holds the dimension. They always have arrowheads on the end. Sometimes they'll have points, you'll see that. What they're meant to do is kind of guide the start and end of this dimension. So where does it start? Where does it end? And that's what the arrows are kind of telling you. Now that's a little different than the extension line. which if we look at the next slide, those extension lines are those, sorry for this one, or these. These are all extension lines. So they start 1/16 away from the object. There's actually a little air gap here. You can't really see it, but I'll kind of point my arrow to it. There's a little air gap there. So what this is trying to say is this is the line that extends from the object face and shows the start and end of that dimension line. Okay, so slightly different. A lot of people are going to get confused by those two. We're almost done. Long break line are used to represent when there's kind of a uniform detail. So just imagine I was going to draw like I don't know, like a log that's 50 feet, right? For whatever reason. Obviously the log is going to essentially look the same for most of the 50 feet. So I use these long break lines to kind of show like, hey, it's going to be the same. So let me just shorten this drawing and have you understand that it's the same continuously, okay? The leader line is used for arc circles and details, and you'll notice that it's going at an angle. So it's usually at a 45, and then so that's this line right here. That's called the leader line, and it's used for things like radiuses or arcs. So this, if you don't know, that stands for diameter. So it's saying that this circle is 2 inches in diameter. So that leader line points at a dimension, okay? So important for you to know. And then what else do we need to know? You know, we use these as guides when sketching. So line conventions kind of help us detail different things. It's universally understood. So it's really important that you understand the names for the different line conventions and when they're used. And then there are certain precedents. So like, let's say I have an object line and a hidden line in the same space. Object line is going to win, meaning I'll actually not draw the hidden line if there's supposed to be an object line there. Same with hidden lines over center lines. So let's say for whatever reason, there's some kind of detail that's behind an object, but at the same time, there's also a center line for a hole. Well, the hidden line wins over the object lines. So some examples of like precedence of line examples. You know, the object line has precedence over the center line, meaning I'm going to draw the object line before the center line. So this one may not make as much sense yet, but this object line is shown, even though there's this center line for the hole that should be there. Why? Because it has precedence. Same thing here. Let me see. Where is that? Ah, yes. This object line has precedence over what would be a hidden line, because from the top view, you wouldn't actually know that that's a hole right there. Why? Because you wouldn't actually see it if I was looking down on this object. Okay, so just some examples. Hope you guys learned something. Otherwise, if you have questions, make sure to ask me, and hope you have a great day. Thanks.